Okay, so let's continue with our Python coding exercise series. So open the leetcode.com and go to the problems tab. And if you scroll down, search the question number 605. So the question is can place flower, which is under the easy category. So click on it. So, and it's like easy question. Let's read the question. You have a long flower bed in which some of the plots are planted and some are not. However, flowers cannot be planted in adjacent plots. Given an integer array flower bed, so we have some arrays given flower bed. So, and if you see the function signature can flower place, so we have some input is given like flower bed, and which is a integer array. So it is an array list, and the array should contain integer. Okay, and it is an integer array of 0 and 1. Okay, where 0 means empty and 1 means not empty. So as an example, so we have this flower bed. So this is an array. So it is an integer array for 0 and 1. So some 0 and some 1s are given. 0 means empty, 1 means non-empty. And what does it mean by non-empty? So you could see there are 5 plots. First plot, second plot, third plot, fourth plot, fifth plot. So on the first plot, we have, or you can say instead of the plots, you can just say pots. So we have 5 pots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the first pot, you have the flower. In the second and third and fourth pot, you don't have the flower. And in the fifth pot, you have the flower. Correct. And then we have an integer array, some integer array n is given. So if you see, we have some second argument is given n integer array, and we need to return true or false. So we need to return some boolean. So if you see the function signature on right hand side, we need to return boolean. So we need to return true if n new flower. So whatever the number of new flowers is given. So there are some pots. So you have, let's suppose, 5 pots, right? And in that pot, in some of the pots, you have the flower and some pots are empty. And you have some new flowers are given, right? So it could be 1, 2, 3, any number of flowers are given. So you need to place that flower in that pot, right? So where you are going to place? So you are going to place that flower wherever there is an empty space, right? So you can't place at one because there is an this place is already filled, right? So you can place the flower only in the empty place. But there is a one condition they have mentioned: flowers cannot be planted in adjacent plots. As an example, so if you are going to place one here, you can't place because in the adjacent plots we have the flower already, right? So where you can place? So if by any chance, any like a random try, so if you can place one flower because you have only one flower, so if you are able to place at one flower, then you need to return true. And if you are unable to place the flower, then you need to return false. Right. So let's go to the whiteboard. So let's look at the one first example. So you have this pot is given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the 5 pot, 2 flowers are already there, and you have one extra flower and is equal to 1. So you need to place that flower. So can you place here? No, because this place is already filled. Can you place here? So the answer is no. Why we can't place here? Because adjacent ports. So adjacent port means, so here, can you place here? No, because in the adjacent port means either left hand side. So adjacent plots means, so you can't place here, right? Because the flower is here. Can you place here? No, because at the adjacent port is left hand side and right hand side. But on the left hand side, we already have the flower. So you can't place here, right? So you can't place here. Now, can you place here? So at this place, can you place here? So you have to check. So do we have the flower here? No. Do we have the flower here? No. So yes, you can place here. And we have only one flower. We already placed one. So we are going to return true. All right. So let's look at the second example. So let me rub this. So let's look at the second example. So we have some ports are given, same ports like 5 ports are given. In the first and the fifth port we have the flower, and the middle 3 ports are empty. Now instead of the one flower we have the 2 extra flowers. So can you place 2 extra flowers? So let's try. Can you place here? The answer is no, because it is already filled. Can you place here? The answer is no, because the adjacent port has the flower. Can you place here? The answer is yes, because the adjacent port is empty and this port is also empty. So you can place here. So out of two, we already placed one. Now we have still one left. So we will continue our loop. So can you place here? So the answer is no, because on the adjacent port we have the flower and the adjacent port. Can you place here? The answer is no, because on the because this is already filled, right? So this is already filled, so you can't place here. So out of two, we only placed one flower, so the answer should be false. Answer should be false, right? Okay. So like it looks very simple. So I am not going to cover the third scenario because we are going to cover, but at later stage. So let's jump into the code directly. So it means to place the flower, we need to run some for loop and for loop till this flower bed. So let's get the length. Length is equal to length of flower bed, right? And we need to run some for loop, right? For I in range of length. All right. So we need to run some for loop. Okay. Now what we need to do? So we have to check one by one. Can we place here? Can we place here? Can we place or can we not place here? So we have to check. Can we place here? The answer is no. Like how we are going to know the answer is no? Because it is already filled. So we need to place only at that place where I index is 0. So we need to check if flower bed of I equal to 0, right? So if it is equal to 0, then we can place. But there is a one more condition, right? So there are basically three conditions. One condition is that it should be empty. So we already cover that, right? So if flower bed of I is equal to 0, what is the second condition? Second condition is if the left hand side is also empty, right? So left hand side means flower bed of I minus 1 equal to 0. And the third condition is right hand side should also be empty and flower bed of I plus 1 equal to 0. If if all the three condition met, then we should place the flower, right? So in this case, it is I is equal to 0, but the left hand side is like not equal to 0. So this is not coming to the if loop. But in this case, left hand side is equal to 0, right hand side is equal to, so we have to place the flower. So let's place the flower. Flower bed of I equal to 1. Now we have placed the flower. Now we need to check whether we have placed all the flower or not. So let's do the count is equal to 0 and we increase our count. Count plus equal to 1. Then we can check whether the count reaches equal to n. So if count equal to n, then return true. Because if count reaches to n, right? So it means like because the one thing is that either you should first check all the like run the loop till here, right? But there is no need to go till end, because as soon as we placed here and we know there is a one flower and we already placed here, then why should I check at this index? Why should I check this index, right? So that's why like, I am putting condition if count means because I pushed one flower and count is equal to 1, and then I am going to check whether I have placed all the flowers. All the flower means like the spare number of flower. If yes, then we are going to return true. If no, then we are going to return false. Right? There is a one more catch here. And if you see, the number of flowers can be 0 as well. If you see the constraints, the number of flowers can be 0. So let's suppose if I say n is equal to 0, n is equal to 0. So in that case, our code is going to be fail. So let's suppose n is equal to 0. So if n is equal to 0, so let's say n is equal to 0. N is equal to 0 means we don't need to place any flower. So if we don't need to place any flower, still we are running some for loop for I in range of length. Still we are running. But do we need to still run for loop? Because n is equal to 0, we don't need to put anything. And we are running some for loop and it will never go into the if condition. And if it never go into the if condition, it will come outside and it's going to return false. But which is wrong? because if n is equal to 0, it should return true. It means there is no flower. So we are going to put some base condition. If n is equal to 0, return true. Right. So because that is this condition, because we have the n is equal to 0 as well. Okay. Now this question is still not cover all the test cases. Now let's come to the third scenario. We have this flower bed where we have 5 pots, and only 2 of the pots are filled. Now we have only one flower, so we need to place that. So now we will check one by one. So can we place here? Right. So there are 3 conditions, right? So if flower of bed I is equal to 0, so yes. Now we have to check flower of bed I minus 1 is equal to 0. But as soon as we do I minus 1, it's going to be failed because there is nothing I minus 1, right? And then we check flower of I plus 1 is equal to 0. Then we check I plus 1. Yes, I plus 1 is equal to 0. You can place the flower. But you can place the flower, but code is going to be fail. Why the code is going to be fail? Because you have not covered the condition. If I is equal to 0, then you should not check I minus 1, because there is nothing there is no I minus 1 index. So it is going to give you the syntax error. So basically you need to put some condition I equal to 0, or so you are going to check this condition I minus 1 condition if I is not equal to 0, because if I is equal to 0, if I is equal to 0, so we are at the first index, then there is no need to check the previous index. All right. And the same case applies with this one. Let's suppose we have the 0 here. Let's suppose we have the 0 here. And we are going to check here. So we check left index. Yes. Then we are going to check the right index. But there is no right index, right? So there is no right index. So the code is going to fail. So we are going to check the right index only and only if I is not equal to the length. So, so we are going to check if I is equal to length minus 1. Length minus 1 means, because in the Python, the index will start from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but length is 5. So 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. So this is the fourth index. So if I is equal to 4, if we are at the this index and this is 0, then we should not going to check I plus 1. So we are not going to check the I plus 1, right? Because if the first condition is going to match, then it's true. Now let's try to run our code. So our sample test case has been accepted. So let's try to submit to check whether all the test cases has been accepted or not. So you could see our all the test cases has been accepted. Right. So it's very easy question. What you have to do just is they said, whatever they said in the question, now you have to just write in form of a code. So in the question they said you need to place the flower at the empty space. So you put some condition. Okay, if flower beta is equal to 0, then they said you should not place the flower where you have the adjacent flowers are already planted. So you should use, you are checking, okay, if flower bed I minus 1 is equal to 0 and flower of I bed I plus 1 is equal to 0, then you are going to place, because if left and right both are 0, if left and the right both are 0, then only you are going to place, right? And then you are going to handle some special case. And the special case is, because if this is 0, then you can place the flower here or not, to check, because this is 0. If this is 0, this is going to be check the next condition, because as soon as you're going to check the next condition, is going to fail. So that's why we need to put some I is equal to 0 condition as well, and same case for the last condition. So this is just for the special case scenario. Along with that, one special case scenario is if n is equal to 0, because if there are no flowers to place, then there is no need to run our for loop. We are going to simply return true. Right. So that's it. That's the end of the video, and you can also try this question. And thank you.